Hi, and welcome now to part 3, objective 4 of cooperative strategy. We're going to look at the corporate level strategy, corporate level cooperative strategies, and then I'm going to link them back in the last slide before the summary slide, to tell you, also link it back to business level strategies as well. So, corporate level cooperative strategy consists of alliances that facilitate product and market diversification that impact on the whole corporation. So there are 3 types of corporate level cooperative strategies: diversifying alliances, synergistic alliances, and franchising. Diversifying alliances are there to allow a firm to expand a new product or a new market area without completing a merger or acquisition. This has the advantage, the synergistic, which means bringing things together, of a merger or acquisition, but also it has less risk and more flexibility, and it enables the firm to assess the partners that it's partnering with in a better way, to enable them to get a longer term understanding of whether they should go into a merger or an acquisition or become one company. While these things have less risk than a merger and acquisition, they can potentially have less reward. And the less reward comes because you are sharing and limiting your future growth potential without ending up being as one organisation. To share the benefits equally, you're still sharing the benefits in a split way. A synergistic strategic alliance is occurs when you're trying to get economies of scope between 2 firms. So you're creating synergy across multiple business functions or multiple businesses between the business partners. So you're attempting to reinforce what you're doing well and what they are doing well, but you're reinforcing those things within similar product range, similar business environments, similar national environments. And finally, franchising is a way to spread the risk between your organisation and another organisation, to capitalise on your core competencies, particularly if they revolve around systems or information technology or something that intellectual property, something that makes your company or your product or your service unique, valuable, rare, hard to imitate, while not having to spend the amount of money to create a greenfields investment, a new business, or to spend the amount of money to commit the same level of resources to buy an existing business in another market. So frequently it enables you to expand much quicker than you would have been able to expand just operating on your current operations. A contract relationship is formed between the master franchisee, or you as the owner of the intellectual property, the product, the service, and the franchisor, which is the person who operates the business on your behalf within whichever caveats, whichever constraints that you wish to undertake. Now, franchisees can be things like a McDonald's franchise or a Jim's Mowing franchise, but also you can franchise to a master franchisor the rights to use your brand name, as Krispy Kreme and Starbucks are in Australia. They're franchised from Starbucks to the Withers Group to use that brand name in Australia. And then they sell, well, in the case of Starbucks, they just operate the franchise within their broader operations. In the case of Krispy Kreme, they link it to their other franchises, such as 7-Eleven, to be able to gain synergies. So Withers Group are doing a synergistic alliance of 2 franchises. So it's a good alternate for growth in mergers and acquisitions, and it's increasingly popular as a way of growing. Franchising is in fact just one form of licensing. And remember when we talked about international market entry, we talked about licensing, we talked about franchising, a form of cooperative strategy. Now, business level strategies and corporate level strategies differ in 4 main ways. Firstly, corporate level strategies are broader in scope. They're more complex, they're always strategic, very rarely are they tactical. They can be influenced by opportunistic managerial motives, such as the growth of the firm to increase managers' compensation. They require time and effort to monitor, to engage, to maintain and engage in trust in relationships. But they can lead to competitive advantage at a strategic level, because when they're successful, not only do they tend to be successful in line with what they were intended to do originally, but they end up being successful because opportunities and innovations flow from the alliance, which gives you a longer term, a dynamic capability that can be turned into a dynamic core competency over time in different areas, in different opportunities, in different partnerships, in different synergies. So what we've done in this week's class is we've defined cooperative strategies and explained why firms use them. We've defined and discussed 3 types of strategic alliance. We've named the business cooperative level strategies and defined them and described them and given you some examples. We've discussed the use of corporate level strategies in diversified firms. Now, that being said, I want to bring you back to the nature of the alliance and the nature of the market, because all these things we talked about in Objective 1, Objective 2, and then the 2 sets of strategies in Objective 3 and 4 interrelate to each other, which is why the videos that you've been provided, the case example videos, the ones about the sort of evolution of Nissan and Renault, to include Daimler-Benz, to include Mitsubishi, then to change when there was the subsequent scandal that led the rebalancing of the board, and the ones I've given to you about Hyundai and GSK, Pfizer, all give different perspectives and quite somewhat complex perspectives on these cooperative strategies. Because one of the things you find with cooperative strategy is that aspects of cooperative strategy sometimes fit within more than one box. And part of what you're doing in your tutorial is trying to identify things that fit within a box so that you can use that as a template, a map, an anchor for your understanding of these interrelationships. Of all the models that we've presented this semester, this is the one with the most grey between the overlapping categories. Partly because businesses often have more than one type of alliance, or the nature of the alliance they have changes over time in its scope, in its scale, or its purpose. Okay, we'll see you in the tutorial. Look on the webpage, the unit website, to discover what you need to do for next week's Moodle forum, and emphasize again that you'll have time to work within your groups as well in that tutorial. See you in the Zoom tutorial.